Thank you for waking us all up out here. For all you do.
Thank you for giving us a voice.
For being out there helping to keep the constitutional republic.
I want to thank you for
your support for veterans in the military.
Educating us.
Standing up for conservatism.
Giving us the truth.
Daybreak with Drew Steele.
Well, I'll tell you, yesterday was an interesting day on Capitol Hill. Hunter Biden's former business partner, Tony Bobulinski, shows up there in front of the House Oversight Committee, and he wasn't messing around. The Democrats thought they were coming at him and were not going to mess around either. And in a lot of ways, it felt almost humiliating. Later on in the top 5 audio clips, you'll get to hear some of it, including Dan Goldman and AOC and some of what they did. And it was it's really ugly what they do. And then there were stellar moments. Congressman Byron Donalds joining us on Daybreak 92.5 Fox News, his Thursday visit. I would say look, I'm just going to be honest. You had a couple of mic drop moments. And the thing about these issues when they pop up is you always want to bring the receipts. If you've got the receipts when you bring up things in these oversight committees, that's when you kind of have them back on their heels. And that's exactly what you did. First of all, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Drew, how you doing?
You enjoy doing that? Do you enjoy being in these House of... I mean, granted, it's not the situation you want to be in. I mean, we all hate the fact that we have to question the president of the United States and what he was doing along with Hunter Biden and the whole family and all of these things. But the fact is you had the receipts yesterday. And maybe for those that didn't get a chance to see you, maybe you can lay out a little bit of what you brought to the House Oversight Committee yesterday when Tony Bobulinski, the former Biden business partner, was there.
Well, a couple things happened. First, the Democrats, they were first saying, Joe wasn't involved. Joe knew nothing. Then it was, well, Joe knew minimally. He might have shown up and said hi to people. Yesterday, all that got blown up. Hunter Biden and Jim Biden, as far as I'm concerned, they perjured themselves in their deposition because Tony Bobulinski and another guy, Mr. Galanis, who was a Hunter Biden business associate while Joe Biden was vice president of the United States, they both testified that, Joe Biden knew what was going on. The entire purpose was to give Joe Biden plausible deniability. So Joe never talked through the actual elements of the business, but he was well aware that he was basically being sold as the brand. Well, what I talked about specifically was one company transaction with the Chinese energy finance company, better known as CEFC, and the fact that the CEFC was run by a guy named Chairman Yi. Chairman Yi was a protege of the current president of China, Xi Jinping, who, of course, leads the Chinese Communist Party. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows that you're not going to be a big business in China unless you're basically sanctioned by the Chinese Communist Party. So we demonstrated with the actual bank statements and withdrawal slips and checks, money flowing from the CEFC through Hunter Biden's accounts at Owasco PC, through the accounts by wire transfer into this account called Lion Hall Group, which is owned and run by Jim Biden, the president's brother. And then Jim Biden, his wife, Sarah Biden, she withdraws $50,000 from Lion Hall Group, puts it into her personal checking account, and then we see the check that she wrote to Joe Biden for $40,000 saying loan repayment. So the source of funds to quote unquote repay a loan that even Joe Biden's own accountant had no record of comes from the CEFC, which is essentially coming from the Chinese Communist Party. So the Democrats are looking at all this like, well, you don't have any evidence. You don't have any evidence that he ever took money. I'm like, well, I just gave it to you.
You're right.
And well, here's what the Democrats want. They want Joe Biden picking up. They want photos of him walking through LAX with a bag of cash that was handed to him with other photos in Beijing.
Right.
And that's the only way they're going to be convinced. But we all know the truth. The truth is money is fungible. And the reason why you move money through so many accounts is because you want to conceal the fact that Joe Biden took money.
Yeah.
But you can't conceal it because the source of funds are from China. And that's one transaction, Drew. We got many others.
Right. Yeah, they're all there. They're on display. You showed them. We have the receipts, bringing the receipts, as it were. And all they have to do is to try to shut down Tony Bobolinsky's voice. I love how when Dan Goldman was trying to call him out on the 10% for the big guy, and nobody knew anything, and he was like, "No, Hunter knew it." And it's like, "No, I'm going to shut you down for a second. Nobody said anything about it." It's like, wait, they live in an alternative universe when the person who is giving the testimony is saying. They say no, he didn't. They say no, yes, he did, and then they shut you up and say, okay, let me get back to my statement. Nobody said anything. It's like, how do you do that? The only way you do that is obviously because you either have nothing or you're trying to protect. It's one or the other. And the bigger question becomes, because we've talked about this before, and you get this and I get this, which is it's not going to go anywhere. Why are we doing this? Why are we spending time on this? We're spending time on this because people need to know. And we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can do everything. I would hope so. We could do it all.
Well, the Oversight Committee doesn't stop the entire House of Representatives from conducting business.
Right.
You know that because we're actually going to vote on the other half of federal spending tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So that's all been going on in the background while the Oversight Committee has had their function in doing what they need to do. The Oversight Committee, this is actually one of its purposes. We do have, and look, this is for everybody, not just Republican listeners to your show, Drew, but for everybody. Oversight has a responsibility to investigate public corruption, especially in the White House. And one thing is crystal clear is that Joe Biden and his son and his brother facilitated public corruption, pay for play, however you want to call it, when he was vice president of the United States. And so the fundamental question is, Joe and his family were taking money from a Chinese energy company 7 years ago. And they were doing the work upon this company 9-10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Well, he's president now. Why is he so enamored with getting batteries from China? Right. The family was taking money. So, this is the stuff that goes on up here, and the Democrats just don't want to look at it. The Democrats, what they would prefer to say is that, Jared Kushner took money from Saudi Arabia. And we're like, oh, yeah, he did, in a private equity fund that is making investments right now that everybody can see. It went directly to a private equity fund. It didn't go through 7 different shell accounts to wind up with some check named loan repayment to Donald Trump. And that's the fundamental difference. But they don't have any answers, so they want to deflect and they want to dissemble. It's really disgusting at this point.
Yeah.
But look, we're just going to provide the evidence to the American people, and then we're going to go from there. The president's corrupt. So is his family. The son is a tax cheat. Yet Joe Biden's telling everybody they got to pay their fair share.
Yeah.
This is how stupid this is.
Yeah, and the gun charges and everything. I mean, we can go right down the line with special treatments and things that have popped up and how it seems like it's okay for some and not for others. And it's just, it's despicable on so many levels. Congressman,
you know what the old saying is, Drew? For my friends, everything, and for my enemies, the law.
Right.
That's the old saying, and that's what the modern Democrat Party is. For my friends, everything, and for my enemies, the law.
Yeah. Congressman Byron Donald is joining us on Daybreak 92.5 Fox News. And speaking of the law and what can be done and what should be done, and, we still have the issues with the southern border. We now have issues on our border as we're concerned about here in Florida again, because now we have another embassy being evacuated. What is that like? What are we up to, 10, 11? How many embassies now since Biden's?
We are now at 11.
It's remarkable. I can't even believe I'm saying that. 11 embassies now have been evacuated since he's been in office. How could you possibly, as an American citizen, see that stat and not feel like something is wrong across the globe with what they see with this administration and what has been happening, and not just that, but now we have the issue in the embassy in Haiti being evacuated and the chaos going on there. And are we any closer to the federal government doing something about what is going to be these refugees making their way to our shores and vetting them before they come into the country? We have to take it upon ourselves again. Here's another state that has to do this. Where are we? Have you heard anything lately on this?
No, and I'll tell you firsthand, the State Department is an absolute dumpster fire, Drew. Tony Blinken, however you want to say his name, This guy is the worst. I mean, this is the kid that was doing Model UN that would lose debates. Yeah, he's Secretary of State. It's awful.
Yeah.
Right now in Haiti, there are still Americans on the ground in Haiti. You have people like my colleague and friend, Congressman Corey Mills, out of Central Florida, who's taking his own personal money to go and fly helicopters and going on the ground in Haiti to get people out. For people who don't know, Corey did 3 tours in the Middle East. So, you know, he's an operator. He's been he was a frontline operator before he came to Congress.
Yeah.
So he's been in these hotspots getting Americans out. This is now the 3rd time he said to do this. State Department is late to the game. They don't know what they're doing. And it's really abysmal. They've talked about giving $40 million in aid and weapons to the Haitian police force, but you're going to send money and guns to an island nation where a guy named Barbecue is in charge?
Right.
Are you nuts? And this is what the administration's response is. And so, no, there was a committee hearing, and they asked Central Command, do you have the capability to use naval assets to actually blockade ships from coming to the United States by Florida so that we can actually vet people? They were like, yeah, we're just waiting for the order. No such order has been given.
Wow.
Joe Biden is an awful president. So it's really incumbent on Governor DeSantis to do what he is doing right now.
Yeah.
You're going to have to stop ships in the water. You're going to have to hand them off to the Coast Guard. And then you're going to have to try to and then move them to other parts of the country. This is insane what we're having to deal with. And look, I gave a speech last night. I was in Baltimore last night.
Mm-hmm. And
I was just like, listen, this isn't even Trump versus Biden. This isn't Republican versus Democrat. This isn't liberal versus conservative. This is crazy versus common sense.
Yeah.
Like, what he's doing is crazy. This stuff doesn't even make any sense anymore. Like, you can't even spin it. So it's important that, you know, voters understand this man does not have the best interest in the country at heart whatsoever. He is a terrible leader. He is slow to everything. He has to be dragged into doing the right thing. That's not leadership.
Yeah.
You know, that's just sitting back in the house and having Slim Fast and eating ice cream, whatever the heck Joe Biden does. I don't know. But it's just really terrible. But no, we are nowhere to actually having federal leadership when it comes to Haiti and people fleeing the country, Haiti. And also, let me say this, Drew.
Mm-hmm.
The reason we have an asylum process is for what's happening in Haiti.
Yep.
Not for people just walking up to the southern border saying, hey, I'm feeling persecuted. Well, what country are you coming from? Spain, China, you know.
Right.
Chile. I'm feeling persecuted in Chile. I'm coming to the United States. I want asylum. The purpose for what's happening in Haiti. And the fact that it's been abused so much means now you can't even use the proper tool to help people in Haiti fleeing real persecution.
Yeah. Congressman Byron Donald is joining us on Daybreak 92.5 Fox News. Hey, before we finish out here, 2 questions I wanted to ask just to get off politics for just a little bit and get your thoughts. First off, you had some middle school students visiting recently. I think it was Cypress Lake Middle that came over and toured the Capitol. And talk about it's cool when people stop by, isn't it? I mean, maybe talk about that because that's got to be great. Like one of the good parts about what you do is to be able to hang with the people in town when they come to visit, and students especially. You get to talk to them and maybe tour the Capitol. That's got to be the good part. Fun. That's a good time, and to see people from home. To hear from them directly.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, look, the best part is when you get young people to come. Yeah. And I sound really old right now, but you get middle school students in particular to come. It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
because you had 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and I'm like, you 8th graders, you all think you're ready for high school? They're like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, no, you're not. But that's fun. That's cute. That's a cute thought. And the 6th graders, I'm like, you guys are happy. You're no longer going to be bottom of the totem pole. You're going to be a 7th grade and be cool. They're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, enjoy that one. Just be nice to the new 6th graders when you go to 7th grade. It was good talking to them, though. They asked questions about the job a little bit, and, just shared with them some things and told them to listen to their mom. Their mom is right, even though they don't want to.
Yeah.
Listen to your mom. Your mom's right.
That's good advice.
That kind of stuff. It was good.
Good advice.
Good stuff.
All right. And then the second part is kind of a silly question, just because I brought it up earlier. because as long as you've been here in Southwest Florida, is there like a restaurant you miss, like a food that you miss or a place that you miss? Because I was talking about like Beefsteak Charlie's, and that's also like a New York thing, but it was also when it was here, and having the peanuts you throw on the ground and the all you can eat shrimp and things like that. And when I was a kid, we had Howard Johnson's. I mean, you probably remember Howard Johnson's in New York.
Wow.
Yeah, right. So my dad used to take us to the Friday fish fries. That was like when we saved up enough money, we would be able to go on a Friday and do the all you can eat fish fry. It was a special time at the Hojo. I was just wondering if you had like one of those that you remember.
So actually, I'll tell you, there are two that come to mind. One is this place, like now it's the Crust in Naples on US 41, but it used to be this restaurant called Hops, and they would have Hops was a chain, and they would have these cinnamon roll type deals with a glaze on them.
Yeah,
and that was their bread service. I mean, the stuff was great stuff.
Yeah,
and then the second one was this sandwich shop that was in Bonita called Capriati's. And the only reason why I bring up Capriati's is because I was driving through Maryland yesterday, and I saw a Capriati's. Brought me a flashback. They would do these pastrami hero subs with like coleslaw and provolone and all this stuff on it. Ooh. It was really good. But I think the only reason why Capriati's didn't stay is because they were in a bad location.
Oh.
Like if you're going to do subs, you got to be in a better location.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds good, man.
It is good, bro. I'm telling you, Drew, it was so good.
Yeah,
I put on easily 20 pounds, with Capriati's.
Yeah,
when I was in my 30s in Naples.
And that was and growing up in New York, the two things I remember: Hojo's and White Castle. Like that was like if you could get by a White Castle.
Don't you miss White Castle? Don't you miss White Castle?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, they have one in Orlando. So there's one at least close. But yeah, it's hard to explain to people because in Florida we have Crystal, right? The Crystal burgers.
Yeah, Crystal. Yeah.
And it's just
not the same.
Yeah, and it's just so. And everybody has kind of like when you think about certain restaurants, everybody has a story. There's always a story behind a restaurant when you grew up. Like everybody has a White Castle story. There's no doubt. Like I could probably ask you, and you probably have like when I was a kid with my friends and what we were doing and hanging out and going to the White Castle. You always have a story with that one particular place, and so it brings back good memories. What
did you ever eat at a Roy Rogers?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I was driving we had to do the Republican retreat was in West Virginia. So I'm driving to West Virginia. It's about a 4-hour drive from D.C. It was a nice drive. And I stopped to get some gas, and there was a Roy Rogers. And I was like, I haven't seen that in 30 years. I had to stop and get Roy Rogers. It was actually pretty good.
It was good, huh? What did you get? What was it? Was it? I don't remember. Was Roy Rogers roast beef? It was roast beef, right? Wasn't that their thing?
Like everything was burgers, roast beef, chicken. Yeah. I had a burger. It was great.
I'm trying to remember I remember Arthur Treacher's fish and chips too. I think that was a New York thing. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. You went way back in time.
Oh yeah,
that's back in time, brother.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, we got to run.
Exactly.
All right, I'll see you later.
See you, Drew.
All right, see you. There he goes. Wow. All right, top 5 audio clips of the day. The 5 at 8:35 coming up next. Daybreak 92.5 Fox News.
Fox News headlines, plus Wink News traffic and weather.
I'll tell you what, you are the best part of my day. I get you on the commute every morning.
On 92.5 Fox News. Right. All along.